All right, what is up, everybody? Good morning. So, gotta say, a little excited about this one. It's 5:30 in the morning, sunrise time, 5:45 anyway, and getting ready to go out and take the old Talon for a before test. Man, those gates are heavy sometimes. Gonna go take the Talon out for a before test because we're gonna have an after test here pretty soon to add a little spice to the fire, I guess you'd say. Moving today too. Got to be home in like 2 hours because the family's gonna be there to help me move furniture and everything. So yeah, I told Garrett and Dave already. I think I get the Employee of the Month award for this one. So yeah, I'm gonna take out and do a pre-test because on Monday morning at 7 a.m. I'm dropping the rig off at Shock Therapy, and we're gonna get the full ride improvement system done. So we're gonna get the shocks all revalved and everything, and then we're gonna get new springs and whatnot as well. So I'm excited for the whole deal. Gonna go shoot some before stuff here, run around and go through kind of a trail I'm a little bit familiar with. This right here behind me is the Montana mountains, and there's a big loop that goes around them. Not going to do the whole loop today for a couple reasons, mainly because yeah, I got to move. But there's a couple little sections here that I know are pretty rough and also pretty fun. So I'm going to go run the Talon through those few sections here and see how she performs, kind of write down some notes, take down my thoughts of the before, and just, you know, make sure I'm super familiar with it. And then as soon as I can, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, something like that, I'm gonna go back and ride the exact same trails, get the exact same angles and everything else, and see what the difference feels like. So hopefully by the end of it all, I can tell you guys what I think about the Shock Therapy setup for the Talon X4 live valve, because that's what I ride. So anyway, with that said, let's jump into it.
Gonna say it. You never knew what love was. You lived your life with mouths of bitterness. And I'm just gonna say it, I'll say it. I used to think that you were right in this, but maybe you were wrong. I'm just gonna
give you my kind of overview or general thoughts on the stock live valve suspension. Hopefully you can hear me over the engine and everything else. If not, I guess I got to do this again when I get home. But anyway, so the live valve suspension. Okay, I came from a 900 Polaris 4, not the XP or anything else. The 8-arm suspension Polaris. So the ride was okay in that. I didn't think it was that bad, especially when I had the suspension on soft. However, when I got this, I realized how much better my ride could be. So I feel like the suspension overall on the Talon live valve is pretty freaking solid. So for the majority of people, so your regular kind of, trail riders, forest roads, keeping it under 40 or around 40 or whatever else, the ride's as smooth as you need or want it to be. There really is no need to spend the money on shock therapy or spend the money on new shocks or everything else. Hey, there's one of those little miniature deer, I forget what they're called, but deer that are like freaking this tall and they're fully grown. Anyway, so if you are you don't get too aggressive and you're a pretty easy trail rider and everything else, there really is no need to improve the suspension much. It's pretty smooth as long as you get the tire pressure down low. I run mine at about 10-12 psi. It's pretty smooth, and I honestly have no complaints. My wife has said multiple times that she's commented multiple times on how smooth the suspension is. So I think that's unprovoked or whatever. I think that's a pretty solid indication of how good the suspension is. With that said, I do like to be a little bit more aggressive, and I like to maintain as much speed as I can when I'm riding. And there are times when your speed can be limited by the suspension because of how kind of rough it gets or whatever at high speeds. So for that reason, that's why I am doing the whole shock therapy setup. That I want to be able to provide you guys the feedback on what it is. So general overview of the suspension. I'm a fan. I don't think it's. I don't think it can be. Well, it can obviously be improved upon, but so can every machine off the lot. It's not perfect, but I also think it's pretty great. So I'm excited to see the difference. Hey, there's an actual deer. Good old buck. Man, what the crap are they doing down here? It's like freaking 110 degrees. Got deer running around. Anyway, can it be improved upon? Yeah. Is it a good, solid suspension and going to provide you a decent ride from the get-go? Yeah, it will. All right, I'm going to give you some more, I guess, of my initial thoughts. So first, I ran that all in normal mode. I'm going to run sport in the way back, so I kind of get some perspective on both of them. I'll do the same thing when I get the shock therapy stuff done. I think, I don't know, for those of you who watched Dave's review, I think he may have came across a little more harsh than he meant to. And the reason why is I think the same thing as some people, partially myself included, when they bought the live valve, they expected it to float across everything. you know, just like I guess you'd see in those Polaris Turbo S commercials, with it just, you know, dancing across everything and whatnot. A couple things to keep in mind with this rig. It's an X, it's not an R. It doesn't have a crazy amount of suspension travel. And for you to do a lot of that floating and whatnot, you're going to need more travel than this thing has. So I'll put the travel numbers in the video so you can see, but keep that in mind. It's not going to be a floater. And I think Dave went into his review having that expectation. That said, it's, you know, it's solid. I like the suspension. I think it's, I think it does a good job for what you get. I love the ability to go from sport mode to normal mode. It is much more smooth in the lower speed stuff when you're in normal mode. And when you're in sport, it does tighten things up. So I love the ability to throw it in sport mode so I can be a little more aggressive, I guess you'd say. In like the rocky stuff, if you have it in sport, you're gonna feel it. If you have it in normal mode, you're gonna feel it, but you're not gonna feel it as much, especially if you have the tire pressure down to 10-12 psi. I think a lot of what you hear about the X suspension not being that great, because, you know, it is out there. I think a lot of that comes from the 2-seat X models, which is different than a 4-seat live valve X model. And I think if you look at some of the reviews that are coming out for the even the 2-seat X live valve, now that it's out in 2021, you'll find that people think they're pretty solid as well. So with that said, enough jibber jabber. Let's get back in, and I'm gonna kind of film some of this this riding here real quick so you guys can see the trail that I'm doing, and get back to testing. Okay, sport mode in the transmission and sport mode on the suspension. Let's get at it. Two wheel drive, by the way. Good, still recording. All right, so couple quick thoughts on sport mode with the suspension. So first, I freaking love the transmission in this thing. I love going through the gears up and down, yada yada yada. Love the transmission. As far as sport mode goes for the suspension, so first and foremost, it absolutely impacts the cornering. It's so much better in the corners when you have the sport mode suspension on. Going in and out and everything else, you just feel much more planted and stable as you're going through the corners. So sport mode on suspension, awesome as far as that goes. It does get a little bit rough when you hit the bigger stuff. And again, I think that goes back to the travel that you have with the suspension setup. It's not 21 inches or 26 or whatever it is that it's kind of leading the way right now. So it doesn't have huge travel numbers, and I think that really impacts you know, exactly how much it floats across the terrain. I'm excited to see the impact that the shock therapy treatment and springs have on that piece of riding, because I do enjoy sport mode, but it can get a little rough as you get through the you know, the rocky stuff and whatnot. So as far as again, low speed, it's great. It's not perfect. No suspension off the rack is. Some are better than others, but it does do well. I think the vast majority of people would be perfectly happy with, not even perfectly happy with, but excited about and impressed with the suspension for your normal, you know, riding that most people do. I don't rip with my family in it, just because I'm not willing to get that close to the edge with them in it. But when I'm in it alone, I do. And anytime I'm with my family, they're always happy with the ride. So with that said, I'm gonna jump back in the car, go move my house with my family, hopefully get home in time early enough to not piss the wife off too much. She was super stoked that I'm out here this morning, by the way. So I'm gonna go do that and then drop the machine off on Monday. Today's Saturday, and check back in then. Okay, good morning everybody. We're back. It's Thursday morning, 6-ish. Regular work day for me, so I got to get back to work here pretty quick, but I'm coming out to do the after. So the full shock therapy treatment has been done. New springs all around and new ride improvement system all around. So you can see the little gold stickers on there now. So before I get into this ride first, this is the first ride. So I've had the machine for about 4 days now. I picked it up on Monday. It's Thursday now. I haven't ridden it at all yet. So I put it on the trailer. I wanted you guys to come around, or I wanted you guys to come along anyway for the first ride. So I'm looking forward to it. Excited to go check it out and see what it's like. Before I do, I want to make two things very clear. Number one, the only reason myself and Garrett and Dave are getting our shocks done right now is because of you guys. So we have been squirreling pennies away for a while, as not just from our YouTube channel, but from, you know, the parts store and Amazon, stuff like that. We've been squirreling money away for a while to do something. And initially it was to go on a big trip and bring you guys along for that. But because of COVID and all that garbage, didn't happen. So number one, the only reason we're able to do this is because of you guys, and myself, Garrett, Dave, we all appreciate your support and helping us make this happen. Number two, we paid 100% for all of our shock systems. So I just picked this up on Monday. We paid the same price that you're gonna get. We didn't get any special treatment or anything else. We paid the same that you're gonna get. Dave did the same for his, and Garrett is doing the same for his. So we're sending our stuff in, paying the same thing that you guys do, hoping that we get a good idea of what the system's like, and that allows us to be 100% honest with you. So I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel when it comes to this system. We always do anyway, but I wanted to let you know that it is paid for by you, and that we paid 100% full price for it. So no special, what do you call it? No special deals here. So with that said, man, let's get in this machine and check it out. Suspension. So the shocks are as smooth as they're going to be. All the you know, little chatter stuff or whatever, the little you know, rocks in the trail and stuff that pops up definitely feels smoother than it did before. I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, hey, initial thoughts. I like what I'm feeling and seeing so far. I'm excited to get some speed up on the way back in sport mode and see what sport mode feels like. But so far, normal mode's feeling nice. Which way do I go, boys? I'm gonna go left. right, so more of the same. Still really impressed with the ride. Still able to carry more speed and everything through it. One thing to keep in mind, let me get the dust off here. One thing to keep in mind through this thing is sprung to have another 300 pounds of weight in it. So 2 passengers in the back, my kids basically, and then my wife next to me. So it's sprung to have a bit more weight in it. So I imagine it's probably not quite as smooth as it could be, but still, I'm really impressed with it in normal mode. I'll be interested to see in sport mode, because I feel like I'm able to carry speed and everything and corner pretty well and whatnot in normal mode. So we'll see what sport mode's like. I'm going to flip it into sport mode for the suspension and sport mode for the transmission, and we'll give it a shot. So I'll do this section here again, head back the other way in sport mode, and then give you my thoughts, let you know whether I think it's worth it to put the shock therapy ride improvement system and respring on your live valve. So let's do this. Sport mode. Stiff. Yeah, it's stiff. You're gonna feel it in all the you know, little rocks and everything else in the trail, but I hit some G outs pretty hard on the way back. Wish I had the camera rolling for it. It's just right up here. But I hit some G outs pretty hard and it took it really, really well. So when I'll use sport mode, probably when I'm by myself, because my wife is not into shaking around at all. The dunes, you know, when there's a lot more G outs and whoops and all that kind of crap going through there. But for the most part, I think I'll be riding in comfort, or normal anyway. It rides really well in normal mode. I was super impressed with it. I'm impressed as well with this sport, but sticking GoPro battery. Anyway, I'm impressed as well with the sport mode. It is, you just got to remember what it's for. It's not for cruising around on a forest road with the family. Sport mode is for, you know, going fast, hitting hard stuff, helping you out in G outs, stuff like that, jumping, that kind of thing. So for the most part, I'm going to be in normal mode, and in normal mode, I got to tell you, I'm impressed with the ride. It's smooth through all the, you know, little rocks that you may have felt before, all the little bumps and whatnot as well. It's smooth through those. So I'm impressed with the suspension all around. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I would. If you, you know, if you've got $1,500 and want to smooth your ride out a bit, then do it. So that's my opinion, just one man, obviously. So what we're gonna do as Deranged is we're gonna start setting up little meetings, maybe reaching out to a few Talon owners, KRX owners, XRC owners, and have them join us for a ride. Maybe, maybe not on letting you actually drive the machine, but sit in the passenger seat and see what the feel is like of the new suspension setups. So that way we can let you check it out, but more importantly, let everybody get more than just one opinion on the suspension. Again, we put this on ourselves. We didn't ask for anything. We paid for it full price, just like you would. So we're giving you our honest opinions, but we're going to give some other people the chance to give their opinions as well. So we'll be reaching out. Look for us in social media, maybe in the comments of this video. We'll be reaching out for other Honda Talon owners in Arizona to go for a spin. If you have a Talon X4 live valve and want to go for a spin and compare the suspension, you know, we'll set it up some ride somewhere sometime. So more than likely we'll join the Honda Talon Adventures crew and go on a ride, and then you could join us there and jump in and check out the suspension then. That's what we'll do here anyway. As far as up in southern Utah, Garrett and Dave will kind of get that set up themselves. But yeah, we want to have more than just one opinion on these. I'm sure we'll get together. Hopefully we get it together before October, but it looks like October is the first time we're going to get together up at the UTV takeover in Sand Hollow. That may be the first time we get together. Hopefully we're able to get together beforehand and share with you guys our thoughts on each other's machines with the new suspension. So all that is to say, would I recommend it? Yeah, I would recommend it. It's to me, it's worth it for the normal mode. It does smooth stuff out. It gives you the ability to carry speed through the choppy stuff, and also helps out just on the regular roads as well. You don't feel anything with the intensity that you do without it. So would I recommend it? Yeah. Yeah, I'm impressed. Hey, I know it's crazy, but don't forget to subscribe. We have a ton more content coming out on the Talon and other machines as well. We're gonna start getting back into riding season and doing more ride related stuff, more testing machines against each other, stuff like that. And you don't want to miss it. So don't forget to subscribe if you have already. Like the video. It helps YouTube understand that people want to see our content, helps spread it to others, and we would really appreciate it. One more time, can't say it enough, we're grateful for your support already. It's your support that allows us to do things like put new suspension on our machines. So from myself, Garrett, and Dave, we appreciate it. With that said, ride safe, pack out what you pack in, and we'll see you on the next one.